All right, well, welcome back. We're continuing our series of videos here on Module 4. And in Objective 4, here we're going to describe the advantages of using relational databases. So hopefully at this point, it's pretty clear what the advantages are. But if not, let's take a moment and think about this. All right, so a common question is, well, why do we have relational databases? Wouldn't it just be simpler to store our data in Microsoft Excel? Now, that could work. The problem with doing that, though, is anybody that has access to a Microsoft Excel file can edit the Excel file. So for instance, if we're working with a data set of company transactions, right? If we give somebody access to the Excel file, they have the ability to alter the transaction records. Now, we could put passwords on it, or we could restrict the rights of the user of the Excel file, but that's kind of an inefficient process, and a process where a lot of mistakes could be made. Those things need to be tracked. They need to be, and it's possible to save a version of the data set to a new file, and so there's all kinds of issues with access and ability to edit, right? Well, in Excel, another disadvantage is that the data isn't accessible by users throughout the organization unless the file is shared. But if the file is shared, again, we're back to square one. Anybody that has the ability to access it can edit that data, all right? So Excel is a very powerful tool, but it's best used for data analysis and not data storage. So what's the difference here? What's the difference between analyzing data and storing data? Okay? Well, the difference is if you maintain a clean source of data, so it's centrally located, it can't be edited directly by most users. Maybe there are a few people that have administrative rights and they can make edits to the database, but primarily this database, the transaction database, it can't be edited by users, all right? Maybe it can only be edited if somebody records a transaction in the general ledger. That's the only way an edit can be made to the database. So if you restrict the ability to edit the data, then you can be confident that the data is clean. There isn't a mistake because somebody logged in and altered the transaction amount or altered the quantity by mistake. Maybe they hit the wrong key on the keyboard and things got messed up, right? So if you restrict access and if you restrict who can make edits, you can be confident that the data you have is valid, it's accurate, okay? Now, we're storing it in a database, but we're not, just because it's stored and it can't be edited, that doesn't mean that it can't be analyzed. So you can extract, you can have Excel link to the database and extract the data that you're interested in, and then edit the data in a copy in Microsoft Excel. So you can do your data analysis in Excel, and if you make a mistake in Excel, you don't have to worry about that affecting the source of the data. You still have the database that has the accurate and clean database. All right, so that's the advantage really of having a relational database. You protect the integrity of the data. So data integrity refers to truth in data, or how the data presents the truth of the underlying transactions or events that occurred. So it's critical that data not only be centrally stored, but that users of the data maintain data integrity by connecting to it using either Microsoft Excel or Tableau or other data analysis tools. So we want to protect the data. That's what relational databases are all about, all right? So there's also internal control benefits associated with storing data in relational databases. So for instance, internal controls which companies are required to maintain because of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, it makes controls easier to enforce. The security of the data and the tables can aid in creating and enforcing data entry internal controls. So there's specific controls around data creation and the enforcement of data entry. And so this helps with the internal controls there. There's reduced redundancy, so you don't have multiple copies of the same data existing everywhere on your company's network. And you can keep track of versions. So as you make edits to the database, we can keep prior versions of that database in case the data gets corrupted somewhere along the way. In case there's a mistake that enters the data at some point, we can always fall back to the prior version. All right? So this concludes our video on Objective 4 in Module 4, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Take care.